In this video, I am going to show you how to make a basket made from cork on the Baby Lock Triumph Serger. The first thing that I need to do is I need to set my machine up for a chain stitch. So what I need to do is I'm going to lower my front door. I'm going to pull to the right and down on my knife cover, and I am going to lower my upper looper. The reason I'm going to lower my upper looper is because if I put my sewing table on, this is the table you need for a chain and a cover stitch. We are going to be quilting this basket using the chain stitch. So if I put the sewing table on and I don't lower the upper looper, what's going to happen is the upper looper is going to hit it. I am touching the upper looper with my finger, and when I rotate my hand wheel, you can see that it goes down and it goes up. I want to take this lever here, put it into the down position, and watch my finger. It's going to go down and it's going to stay down. That's exactly what we want. That way that looper doesn't hit our table. So now I'm going to put the machine in threading mode, and I'm going to rotate my hand wheel until the loopers click. Okay, we heard the click. And I'm going to go ahead and adjust my settings before I do anything else. I know that for a chain stitch with the weight of thread that I'm going to be using, the stitch length is 4, okay? And then I'm going to lower my knife because we don't want the knife to cut our fabric. So therefore our stitch width does not even matter, okay? So we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so now we're going to thread our chain looper. And our chain looper is over here at the far right. Alright, it is the thread stand that says chain looper. So our chain looper is over at the far right. And I'm going to move my project here. I have the clear acrylic extension table on my serger, and I absolutely love it. So I'm just going to slide that over to the left, open my door, and when I blow the thread through my chain looper, it's going to come out right here. There's like a little bowl here. The thread is going to cradle right there. So I'm going to drop the thread from front to back in the guide over here, and back behind the tab and through the thread passage. Pull the thread down to my thigh. Now I know from experience that I need a thread cradle to pull the thread through. This thread being an 8-weight thread, sometimes it blows through, sometimes it doesn't. So that's just the nature of the beast. And so what I've done is I've taken a spool of thread and I've unwound it and pulled it about an arm's width across, and then I brought my thread ends back together here. I'm going to put my thread ends into the port labeled C. There's a gold C, and I'm going to push the button that says push to thread loopers, and it's going to blow that thread out, and it's going to come right here. But all the while I'm going to be holding on to the loop that's made at the other end of the thread, because the loop is what I'm going to put my thick blue thread through to pull it through. Alright, so my thread came out right here. I'm going to take my thread end of my thick blue thread, which is my chain looper thread. I'm going to poke it through that loop, okay? Now I'm just going to grab the other end and pull it through. So now it's through. And that's enough, so I'm just going to kind of poke it right back down into the machine. And we're just going to shut our door. Alright? And then any excess that's over here, I'm just going to kind of lightly, with the foot up, kind of pull back a little bit, just slightly. Okay, there we go. Done. Now I'm going to thread my chain needle 2. And I chose the chain needle 2 because that needle is in the center position, and I can just guide to the center position. It really doesn't matter whether I choose chain 1, chain 2, or chain 3. So here we go. I'm going to thread my chain 2 needle position. We're going to lay our thread in, pull it to the back, put it into our thread guide, and I am going to lower the foot, make sure that my lever here is on chain cover. We're going to lower the needle threader. And I'm going to poke that thread just at the eye of the needle and push to thread needles. Alright, so my needle is now threaded. I'm just going to pull the thread over to the side. I'm going to slide my table back on. And one other thing that we need to do is we need to take our knife cover off and put our chain cover sewing table on. There we are. Put the machine in serging mode. Shut the door and we're good to go. This is my piece. This is the inside of my basket. And the outside cork is a rainbow metallic, which is really, really pretty. I will post the measurements in the description below the video. I have taken a ruler and a chalk pen and marked from corner to corner, alright, every 2 inches across my lining piece. So I'm going to quilt in one direction, and then I'm going to mark from corner to corner in the other direction, and I'm going to crosshatch quilt every 2 inches the other direction. That's the look that I'm going for. I have the clear foot on the machine because that way I can see where I'm going, and then sew at a slow, consistent speed. When you reach the end, just trim your thread tail. Leave a thread tail there though. You want to leave that. And then keep sewing. I'll see you at the end. cut a 4-inch square out of each corner, because what will happen is this will fold in, creating our box, okay? So what we're going to do next is we're going to do the wave stitch along the top edges of our basket. To thread the machine up for a wave stitch, the first thing we have to do is we have to unthread the chain stitch. So we're going to lower our door, clip our threads at the top of our machine, raise our foot, find the thread tails at the presser foot, and we're gonna rotate the hand wheel if needed. This time we didn't. And just pull all the threads out. The reason I would need to rotate the hand wheel is if the machine kind of held the thread hostage and it wouldn't come out, I could rotate the hand wheel and release the tension and the threads would pull right out. Alright, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn my upper looper back to the up position, rotate the hand wheel until that looper starts coming back up and down, okay? I'm going to re-engage my knife. We're gonna go ahead and take the sewing table off and put the knife cover back on. We're gonna put our stitch length at 2 and our knife width at 5. Our stitch selector should be on B, and our wave selector should be on wave. And our needle threader lever should be on overlock. Our foot should be up. We're going to put our machine on threading, rotate the hand wheel until the loopers click. Alright, I'm going to place my chain looper thread over on lower looper. I want the blue in the upper looper. That's what was in my chain looper. And the blue goes into the overlock 2 needle path and then threads through the upper looper. You can always reference your quick reference threading guide. Now I'm pretty sure that that's not gonna blow through because this is an 8-weight thread. So I'm gonna go ahead and blow my thread cradle through. And I just like to pull my threads to the back. You don't have to, but I like to. I went ahead and blew my thread cradle through my lower looper. And this time I'm going to use this beautiful orange thread. So that's going to go on my lower looper. And this is actually going to go through the lower looper threading path. Alright, so now we have our loopers threaded. I'm going to place my needle thread over on overlock 2. Because we are actually doing a 3-thread narrow wave stitch. I'm going to lower my foot and move my needle over from chain 2 to overlock 2. Alright, we're going to lower our needle threader, trim our thread tail, and our needle is threaded. Alright. We're going to place the machine back in serging mode, close our doors. I'm going to lower the presser foot and do a little bit of stitching to make sure that the stitch actually forms. And it does. I'm going to stitch the wave stitch from the top side, so I want the outside of my basket, which is the cork side, up. And I'm going to line the edge of my fabric up with the edge of my stitch plate. I'm okay with cutting off a little extra. Off to the next side. Alright, so I'm going to leave those thread tails, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold wrong sides together, lining up my wave stitch at the top, and I'm going to start serging from the bottom corner up to the top, and that's going to complete my basket. And I did change to the standard presser foot for the machine because it is metal. The plastic one does flex some, and I just don't want any movement in my stitch. So we're going to raise our presser foot up and place our fabric right underneath the foot, and I'm kind of lining up that diagonal here that you see right here. It's lined up almost to the knife. Alright? So I'm going to start stitching. Now, I have sewn from the bottom of my basket to the top, and when I'm near this wave stitch, you're going to want to go real slow. Maybe you just want to rotate your hand wheel over that thick seam. Otherwise, you may break a needle. And what I do is I lightly press on the foot control to make the machine hum. That way the motor kind of helps me rotate my hand wheel. But if it's really struggling, or your needle doesn't want to puncture that stitch, stop. Raise the foot, reposition the fabric, and try again. Okay, and now we're going to do our other side. Again, I'm slowing up. My needle doesn't want to go through, so I'm just kind of raise my needle, raise my presser foot, kind of scoot my fabric back just a little bit, lower my foot, and then there we go. See, my needle went through that time. And see, there we go. See, now we're getting our box. All right, here we go. Alright, so there we go. All we need to do is kind of press a little fold along the line that we want our box to sit, or our basket rather. I should just call it a basket because that's what this is. And there we are. Now you have a little basket made on the Baby Lock Triumph Serger. Look at that cross hatching. Now that your basket is finished, you can take and just kind of tie knots at the top and the bottom all the way around. To secure your threads, you can take a bodkin or a double-eyed needle and thread the chain thread and thread back through your stitches, or you can apply beads or charms on all four corners all the way around, or you can take and put some fray check or fray block on here and then trim it off. And there you go. You have your finished cork basket. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click the bell to receive notifications whenever I post new videos. Thanks so much for watching. Until I see you next time, happy sewing!